Welcome to Actual Scale Modelling. This is part 3 of the MENG King Tiger Scale 135 build. In part 2 I finished off with doing the painting of the kit. In part 3, as you can see here, I'm starting to put on all the little and sundry parts like the cables and so forth. So let's jump into it. So that's the first cable on. I'm going to be just about putting the second one on, but I thought I'd show you how I do this. This is an instruction book, and as you can see here, I've circled the areas which I've left off. Now, I didn't circle that bit, but that's left off as well. And this enabled me, when I put everything on the build, I go back and look through the instructions and see what I've left off, then obviously put them on. So I just thought that would be a little tip to show you how I do it. So the second cable's going on, and it's a bit difficult to show you on camera, but the location points for these are clearly marked or on the side of the skirting. You might get confused though while you're doing it, because there is other several parts that go on. So make sure you look at the instructions for the exact location, but don't worry if you get them in the wrong points, because as long as they fit on there, it doesn't really matter how they go on. Now that the cable's on, it's time to put on the other bits. There's actually 3 sets of cables to go on this, 2 that snake around the skirts and 1 straight part. Now I'll carry on putting all the little parts on. This is just some bars that I'm putting on now. There's several of these to put on, and I just placing them inside where the cable is. As I said, there is location points dotted around the skirts, so just use your best judgment if you can't follow the instructions, because sometimes they're not that clear. Next up is to make the spare track links, and just like the main track links, there's just 2 pieces that go together. They push together and they interlock like the other ones, and it's only one set, so it's 2 parts to each set. Then they get hooked on to the brackets that was put onto the turret. There is a couple of little holes where the hooks latch onto. If you find it difficult to latch them on, I would suggest snipping off the actual hook part and just laying them inside it, because I think the locations are just slightly out on the kit, or I may have just put them in a little bit out of position. I'm not sure, but some of them hooked on okay, some of them didn't. So next to go on is the machine gun, and there's not an actual location point I was able to see for this. So after looking at some photographs and the instructions, I figured out the best way position to put it on, and that was hard against the guardrail of the command turret there, and it just sits on there with a little bit of cement. I'm putting in the aerial wire. So first of all, I'm using my pin drive. It's a 0.3 mil pin bit, and I'm just drilling the holes for it. Now there is holes already there for the aerials, but they don't go all the way through, so I'm just making them go all the way through. It's just easier then to put in the aerials. I'm using some bead wire that jewel makers use to make necklaces and things. This one's the silver one. I was going to use black, but I thought the silver would be better, just stand out on camera. I will be painting these as well though, because I don't want the light colour for the aerial. Now there's time to varnish, so I'm using Pledge Clear Polish or varnish, and just putting a thin coat all the way around the model. Now this will give it a semi-gloss shine to it, and the shine will be a little bit too much for a tank, but the next process does take that away. Or you can use, of course, a matte varnish or a different semi-gloss. It depends on how you feel. I'm using Tamiya's XF56 metallic grey to paint the wires for the aerials. So it's just a bead of paint along the edges of the wire. Make sure you do both sides. You don't want it to be half white, half dark colour. Time for the decals, and there's only one decal set I'm putting on, so I soak them in warm water and then I'm applying a solution of Humbrol decal fix. So I just liberally put that onto the area where the decal is going to go and then slide the decal in position. Now there is 3 variants that comes with this kit, depending on which one you want to do is what decals you want, obviously, but there's not that many decals at all. Onto the withering, and I'm using Tamiya's Withering Master C, and I'm using the gunmetal component here just to go over the rivets and the hard edges, making them look darker and worn. Then it's over to Withering Master B, and I'm using the soot component here to simulate the exhaust fumes and dirt that comes from the radiators. So to carry on with the withering and taking off the shine of the varnish, I'm using Ammo's MENG with oil brushers, and this one is the dust. Now to apply these, make sure whatever you put them on has a varnish on it first of all, and then you use the brush to put a little bit of pigment onto the area, and then you dilute it with another brush using some thinner, and you just moisten your tip of your brush with thinner and then go over the pigment, and it will create effect of changing the colour slightly that you already have on there, and it can produce streaks, dirt marks and so forth depending on which one you use. I'm going for the dusty effect, hence why I'm using the dust one. But these are very good things to have in your toolkit. There's many videos on YouTube that you can have a look at, how all the different applications that these products come with. But for me, they're okay. I like using them now and again. I don't use them all the time. But as you can see here, the effects coming into place, the shine's coming off the coat of varnish, and the dust effect is going on. So I'm effectively dirtying it up and heavy weathering it. Make sure all your components are on before you do this, including your decals as well, because you don't want shiny looking decals on an item that's been all dirtied up. It's all got to blend into one. The next brusher I'm using is Starship Filth. This is a dark grimy colour, and it's great for simulating where exhaust ports are and dirty decks and things like that. This is my go-to colour for weathering it when it's got to be a dark weather colour and a grimy colour. This works perfectly for it. And once it's all dry, it's time to put in the aerials. So these are the aerials that I painted a little bit earlier on, and they're just going into the holes that I drilled up. Now there's a little tiny bit of super glue goes into the hole, and then you push your wire through. And the reason why I wanted the hole to go all the way through the kit is because on the other side then I can pull it to the length I require. But all that's left to do is put the turret on. So I'm not actually gluing this turret on. I want to take it off from time to time for cleaning and so forth, so it just sits on its housing, easy enough. And this will bring the build to an end. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the parts 1 and 2 of this build, and you can see it from start to finish. I would recommend this kit for intermediate to advanced. There's a lot easier tank kits out there if you haven't built any armour so far. Tamiya's kits are very good for that. They're basic builds, and a beginner can get a lot out of them, as well as an advanced builder. Why don't you check out my other videos on the channel, subscribe to the channel as well for any upcoming updates and new videos. Throw me a like if you liked this video, and leave a comment as well. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.